welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam. You know, there's a lot of state agencies that do a lot of things to help you. One of those that's here in Montgomery, Alabama that does a great job is the Alabama Securities Commission. Our guest is Joe Borg. You are the director of the Alabama Securities Commission. I guess they call it that. Director, right?
Directors, that's fine.
Yeah, that'll work.
That'll work,
yeah.
Jack.
But for most part, when we think of, if I say security, I think of a security fence,
security guard, or something
security
like that.
thing.
No, we're talking about securities like stocks, bonds,
right.
mutual funds, and then a lot of folks will say,
how did they get that name, securities, then?
Well, securities is a
it's
defined term.
It's probably some way that you're going to secure your future, maybe?
I think it's more like your money goes into a company and you get a stock, and that's your security for your ownership in the company.
Good.
But securities goes beyond that, and I think people think in terms of, well, if I don't have a stock or a bond, that's it. But you know, a lot of things are securities, and here's the best way to explain it. If you turn your money over to somebody else, and they're going to manage it, operate it, and they're promising you a set of interest or a dividend or some profit, that's a security.
Okay.
All right. So when you put give your money to a bank for a CD, that's a security.
Okay.
Now, banks have their own rules, but that is a security. So if somebody gives you a promissory note, well, that's to secure the loan, right?
That's
so
right.
if you've got notes, that's a security. So all these sort of things, if you buy a share of a drugstore, or if you and a couple of folks get together and buy a piece of land and you all own it, and one of them's going to manage it, well, that's a security because you have an ownership interest.
Okay.
So those are all securities. In general, most securities are going to be regulated. So if I show up at your door and I say, Jack,
yes,
you didn't save enough for retirement.
You're right.
I had a lot of fun.
How do you know? How do you know?
Psychic. And I say, look, you need to give me about $10,000 or $20,000. I'm going to go ahead and make you money. Well, that's a security. Sounds good. And I may sell you something that I say is guaranteed, can't lose. Well, these are all the red flags now,
Right.
And don't tell anybody because I'm only doing it for you.
That's
of course,
right.
I'm doing it with you and 100,000 of my closest friends.
Amen.
So these are all securities. And what we do is we regulate that industry, whether it's a financial professional, stockbroker, financial planner, investment advisor, or anybody that's going to try and raise money to do something, or to try and get money from you to give it to me so I can go do something with it. They have to have a license. And that's the first stop for defending yourself against fraud. The first thing you ought to do is say, do you have a license?
Right.
Give me your name. What's the name of your company? What is it you want to sell me? And then you say, I'll get back to you.
That's right. Now,
you call us.
You call and you can get it checked out.
Yeah, you call us at 1-800-222-1253, free call. And you say, I met this guy named Jack Galassini.
He's trying to sell me something.
He's trying to sell me a mutual fund or a stock or an interest in a barber shop, whatever it may be. And we'll let you know. We'll tell that person, well, look, Jack can't sell that. He doesn't have a license. Or there is no barber shop. Or there ain't no such stock. Or, that's a high-risk deal. Whatever it may be. And then you take that information. If you're properly licensed and it's a proper product, then you make a decision whether you want to take the risk or not. But if he's not licensed or the product's not registered, hold on to your wallet because somebody's fixing to get into it.
Okay, now there are people out there that are called quote-unquote financial advisors. Do they have to be licensed with you also?
Yes, financial advisors.
Because a lot of times they're giving you advice but not selling you something, but you're paying them for that advice,
exactly.
Right.
An investment advisor, we call generically financial planners.
Right.
You go to them and say, what should I invest in? I'm trying to save for retirement. And they give you a plan or advice. They have to be licensed as well, as long as they're being paid for the advice. Now, if you go to your next-door neighbor and he does it for free,
there's nothing to it.
That's different. But price is not just dollars. If you want to trade football tickets, anything that's of value for that advice is considered payment. Okay.
And then, of course, you mentioned earlier the banks, but the banks are a separate regulatory.
Yeah, the banks are a separate
because banks are getting involved in a lot of different things now, aren't they?
Now they have affiliates where they have a subsidiary that's a wealth management. Now, they'll be licensed with us as well.
Okay. Yeah. Because of the wealth management aspect.
When I talk to banks, I'm saying like you put your money in for a CD. The bank, that's a separate one. Even though it's a security, it's an exempt security. So they don't have to register with us because they're regulated by a bank.
In insurance companies, is that a separate
Insurance policies like life insurance, auto,
Right.
and health, that's not an investment.
Right.
But if it's a variable annuity or an equity
Okay,
index
then they
annuity,
have to be.
yeah, with a stock thing, and you've got some money that's going to build up, then they have to be licensed both on the insurance side.
And your side.
And my side.
And you can find out.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. And give them that number again, Joe.
It's
for
1-800-222-1253.
1253. And just remember this, the Alabama Securities Commission is an organization that's right here in Montgomery. It's designed for people in the state of Alabama to give you advice about companies you're going to do business with. They're not going to tell you what to buy, but they're going to make sure that that company is licensed and
the
looking out for
individuals.
your best interest.
As well as the individuals.
Individuals also. And we'll be right back right after this.